Hi, we're here with Steven Rodriguez's mom. Just a few questions for you. Can you recall how old Steven was when he was diagnosed with autism?
Yes, he was, I believe, 2 and 6 months, 2 and 3 months. So almost like 2.5.
Do you remember why you all took him in to the doctor?
Yes. I took him in because I would call his name and he wouldn't turn, he wouldn't respond. And I knew that was not Steven, and I knew there was something wrong because he was always crying, very fussy. Just didn't focus, didn't look at me anymore, just wouldn't respond, and he was just like lost. And I got really nervous because I knew something was wrong. And it's just that natural instinct that tells you something's wrong. So you first take him to the pediatrician, you explain to the pediatrician, and they say, okay. Then from the pediatrician, they send you to a specialist that at that time, autism was, what is autism?
What year was this?
This was about 1990, let me see, 93, 94, about 94, 95?
1995.
Yeah, something like that. I think he must have been like a little over 2 years old. And Stephen was 2, but he looked like he was responding maybe what a 1.5-year-old was doing. I don't know. It was just really strange. It was really hard. All I know is that something was wrong. And that's from the pediatrician to the psychologist, and then from the psychologist, we also went to see an audiologist. They tested his hearing. They said that he needed tubes in his ears. That's why he wasn't responding, so we did that. But the psychologist, he's the one that had more experience with autism, and he explained what autism was. And I remember him telling me that Stephen can learn and will learn, but it's going to be different way of learning. And he said there was no cure for autism, didn't really know what caused it. And the more I learned, the more I read.
Did you know what autism was at the time?
No, I did
You
not.
had no clue what it was?
I had no idea. I just thought, oh my God, what is wrong with my child?
And this is 1993, 94.
Right.
So how did you go about learning about the disability?
I read, I got in, and then we went through testing. We did the testing, and then we went through Texas Tropical, ECI. We got speech therapy, occupational therapy. And then when he got old enough, we got into the school district. The school district did all the testing as far as scholastically and all that. They told me he was not going to score very high. I mean, they showed me all how he was scoring and all that. So from there, we just got into the school district, and from the school district, we just, every year was a challenge. Every 3 years was testing to see where he was at, and he did well, but it was not at the level that he's supposed to be at.
Yeah. And how was his behavior? How was he around the home?
At home, he was pretty much just reserved. He had his favorite cartoons, which he would watch, and he knew what time. He knew that he at this time and this time, and it's funny because till this day, everything is timed. He watches his favorite show at a certain time. He'll eat at a certain time. He'll go to bed at a certain time. He takes a bath at a certain time, not a minute later, but at that time. So, but we just you know, you just have to accept that he is different. He's autistic. He can learn, he'll learn in his own way. And then it's up to us as the caregivers and family to help him in a way that doesn't make him feel like there's something wrong with me. You know, I can learn. Everything we did with he has two other siblings. He has an older brother, and then he has a younger brother. So everything we did together. We included him in sports. We included him in all the family functions. My brothers and sisters, my mom, my dad. So he was always included. He was never left behind. He was never said, "Oh, well, Stephen can't do this because he's autistic." No, no such thing. We always had him participate if he wanted to. If he didn't, so be it. But it was never something that we labeled him. We didn't want to label him. There was no such thing for us. For us, he was our child. We were going to treat him as normal as possible, like all the other kids. And you just go from there.
How about looking at it the other side, stigma? Did you ever have anybody come to you with, let's say, a teacher or other parents and say, like right now the whole thing is a child with autism can't go to a restaurant because they'll say, "Oh, that child is misbehaving." Did you have anything like that when Stephen was growing up?
Yes, when Stephen was in school, as a matter of fact, I had a teacher. He was being mainstream, and there was a teacher that says, she was very negative. I can't do that, and he can't do this, and he'll never be able to do this project, and he'll never. And I told her, "Okay, thank you very much for being in our meeting, but you're obviously not going to be the right person, the right teacher. Let's just find someone that can actually challenge him and accept that challenge to have a child with autism and go from there." And we found another teacher. He did just fine. Perfect. She didn't have any trouble, anything like that. And as far as restaurants were concerned, we pretty much would let him order if they didn't understand or he didn't understand. You know, we would just go from there, but he never misbehaved. Sometimes he would get off from the chair, leave the table for a little bit and come back. But what other child doesn't do that? All normal children do that, you know. But I never had that problem, Edward, that he would, you know, leave the table or misbehave or, no, he was always with us, you know.
How about some of the goals? What do you want Stephen? What do you want for Stephen as he gets older? He's 21, 22 years old. What is it that you want for him as a parent?
Oh gosh, he's doing really well with his artwork. I want him to succeed. I know he will. I was hoping that he'd be able to get into college, but college for children with autism is hard. Now, some children can handle it, some cannot. Now, with Stephen, I may give it a try to see if he can carry a schedule, but I really don't think he can. It'd be very, very hard. I want him to succeed in a lot of ways, but in ways that he can, his artwork, for example. That's how he expresses himself. And I know that he can sell his artwork. He may be able, and he loves the idea of, "Oh, Mom, I can do this. I can paint. I can sell it." And he knows that it'll be something that'll be for him. The day I'm gone, at least I know that he can do this. He has the talent, you know? And he loves it. He loves to go paint. He loves to draw. You know, maybe in a couple of years we'll go to college and take he loves digital arts. He loves cartooning. Maybe that's our next step. I'm not sure. But, you know, he's doing really, really well with his artwork. And he expresses himself fine. I have, he's a little bit on the non-social side in a lot of ways, but he's able to communicate and he's doing really well. He's been healthy, not a troublemaker at all. And I think we've just been blessed with my family's support and my mom, my dad, and we're pretty happy.
How about, as with any parent, fears? What are your fears for him as a parent?
Yes. Fears are, for a parent, and I think for any parent, it would be that, being left alone and leaving them where you don't know what's going to happen. But I think with a good family foundation and the education of what autism is can help, and guide our family and his siblings and family members, help him, guide him, when we're gone. But I think that's the biggest fear, not knowing what's going to happen to them, when you're gone. But I think with this education that we've had and the experience that we've had with autism and Stephen in general, and what we're teaching him and what we've taught him, I think he'll do well. But it's a challenge. Every year it's a challenge. Something comes along, he's got a checkbook, he buys groceries, he does his own, I do his laundry, he puts it away. He's very skillful in a lot of ways. He's responsible in a lot of ways. It's just the fear of the unknown, of the people it's the outside world that I fear the most. Because he's such a nice person. They're so trustworthy and good people and good kids, that not all kids, some kids have behavior problems. Stephen just is not able to socialize. But other than that, he's very talented and he's a good kid, So I would say it would just be the outside world, because it is a cruel world in a lot of ways. But he's learned to accept a lot of things. He responds well if he sees something different. If somebody asks him something, and he'll say, well, he'll respond in a professional way, in a nice way. Well, that's not a good thing to say. He'll respond in a way like that. Nothing angry, just positive and well behaved.
Okay, well, thank you for your time, Celia.
Oh, you're welcome.